It's given annually by the California League of Bond Oversight Committees to acknowledge, honor, and encourage those who have moved the cause of citizen oversight and local government bond programs forward. And this award is named for Mr. Anton Jungherr, who's sitting here in the front row. Anton, maybe you can raise your hand so people can see you. Mr. Jungherr has had a storied professional career serving several Bay Area school districts as a chief business official, including San Francisco and Berkeley school districts, as well as volunteering his business skills for many nonprofit groups. In his semi-retirement, Mr. Jungherr exemplifies the very best in citizenship, organizing others and calling attention to issues of concern. As the co-founder of CalBOC, along with Mr. Michael Day, who is in the back, Mr. Jungherr helped to create the organization that you're participating with today. And let me stop and just ask you, how's today going for you? All right. The end of your day so far, I hope. So I think first of all, let's give Mr. Jungherr another round of applause in honor of this namesake award. One of our themes for this year's Anton Jungherr Award is that both winners were willing to delve into difficult technical areas involving bonding capacity and tax-based demographics to illuminate the engineering of government finance. This is a fitting tribute to Mr. Jungherr, who is an accounting and finance expert. And I can tell you, I'm the treasurer of CalBOC, and he still helps me every year with our tax return. So first I'd like to call up Mr. Tom Lucas. Mr. Thomas Lucas is a member, or was a member, of the 2013-14 grand jury who produced the report School Bonds, The Untold Story of Assessed Values, which has already resulted in additional guidance from the Orange County Department of Education. Well, first of all, let me just say, how many of you who work in a public agency get concerned if the grand jury is looking into what you're doing? Right? Well, Mr. Lucas took this topic on and said, look, there's something here that needs attention, but we need to get to the bottom of what's going on, and we need to provide good guidance. And his group that he led wrote a report called School Bonds, The Untold Story of Assessed Values. And with a title like that, I personally could not wait to read it. And it has already resulted in very specific guidance from the Orange County Department of Education to all the school districts in Orange County about areas for improvement. And so I think we can say this was a very successful grand jury effort, and we want to thank Mr. Lucas for his leadership in helping to create better bond planning and implementation, and thereby present this wonderful award. This is what it looks like. It's a modern style acrylic award that you can put on your bookshelf and perhaps share with the other members of the grand jury. And Mr. Lucas, perhaps you'd share a few words with us.
Well, thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank Lori for all her help, because when the grand jury, when we started to look at this whole issue, actually I talked to the Santa Ana School District Finance people, and they referred me to Lori, who happens to be their financial consultant. And Lori really became a very critical resource for our whole group as we put our study together. So first of all, I want to thank her for all her tremendous work that she helped with us. Now, in terms of the study itself, it was a great experience. And first of all, I would also just put a plug in for anyone that ever would consider serving on a grand jury. It really is a great experience. I served a one-year term, and in California, each county can be different. Some counties have a criminal grand jury and a civil grand jury, and then some counties, like for instance Orange County, combines the two functions into one grand jury. So it's a one-year commitment, but it was a great experience. And as part of our civil oversight, we were looking, and initially we looked at the whole issue of capital appreciation bonds, and of course there's been all the negative publicity associated with those. So that's ground that had really pretty well been hoed already. And so we decided to look a little deeper and really looked into the whole issue of how the assessed values projections affected the bonding capacity, and also what was really behind some of what we felt were very unrealistic growth projections in assessed values. And essentially by some of the districts, and I don't want to paint everyone with this paintbrush, there's specific districts I think that were more guilty than others. But essentially by inflating the assessed value projections, that gives you much more room to add to your bonding capacity, and at the same time, if those projections don't come true, the taxpayer at the end of the day is on the hook for a significantly higher tax rate than what was promised when the bonds were approved. And so that was really the whole basis of our report, was really kind of digging into those numbers, and based on some historical averages that we developed, projecting what future tax rates would be, assuming that the assessed values continue to grow at those average growth rates. And so it was a great experience. I'm very happy to hear that that something positive has come out of the report. So again, I want to say thank you, Lori. Thank you for your help, and thank you, everyone.
Next winner. Please welcome Ms. Teresa Harrington, and if she'll step up here with us. Teresa Harrington is not a stranger to many people in the room. She is a reporter for Bay Area News Group, and she has written literally dozens of articles published in the Contra Costa Times describing school bond measures under consideration and as they're implemented, raising important questions for voters and school boards alike to consider as they make their respective decisions. Ms. Harrington, if you would please say a few words, and I think those of us in the room know it's rare to have a reporter who stays on this story, who understands it and writes it, and that's what oversight is all about. We need our partners in journalism, and perhaps you can share some wisdom with us.
Thank you. I just wanted to say I owe it all to many members of this group, because when I started writing about construction bonds, I knew nothing about them, and I still don't know a lot about them, but with the help of some of you, I am learning more and more. And I started covering them in around 2010, when the Mount Diablo School District issued, or they had a measure for a $348 million bond measure. And like what he was saying, they promised not to raise the tax rate above the 2002 rate, but they didn't tell anybody that that would mean that they would have to use capital appreciation bonds for 40 years that would extend the interest millions of dollars. So anyway, once I understood this from the outrage that was expressed by the taxpayers and the Bond Oversight Committee people, I started writing about that. And then I met Anton, so I'm very pleased to get this award that's named for you, because I think that I feel like some of you are kindred spirits, because two of my main goals are accountability and transparency. And that is the drumbeat that Anton is constantly beating. And as a journalist, I need those voices of the people who are outraged when their local governments are not doing what they should be doing. And so Anton is one of those voices, as are many of the rest of you. So I look forward to writing many more stories about this in the future. Thank you.
So these are award winners. We're going to thank them very much. And in fitting with their investigations, our next speaker is one of the leading certified fraud examiners in the world. So thank you very much, Mr. Lucas, Ms. Harrington. Next, I'm very pleased to call up Mr. Don Molinax. Many people in the room, I think, will have been impressed just to have read his biography.